Welcome back to Mind of a Monster, the podcast where we explore the psychology behind some of history's most notorious criminals. I'm your host, Adam.
And I'm Sarah. Today, we're tackling a name that sends a chill down your spine, Ted Bundy.
He's often held up as the archetype of the charming, intelligent serial killer, which is precisely what makes his story so terrifying. He wasn't a monster lurking in the shadows. He was the man next door.
Exactly. The facade was almost perfect. So, Adam, let's start at the beginning. Where does the story of Ted Bundy really begin?
It begins with a secret. He was born Theodore Robert Cowell in 1946, and for years he was raised to believe his grandparents were his parents, and his own mother was his older sister.
Wow, the psychological impact of a lie that fundamental? You have to imagine that plants a seed of resentment and confusion early on.
Many profilers believe so. It created this deep-seated anger and a feeling of being an outsider. As a young man, he was outwardly successful. He studied law, was involved in politics. He even worked at a suicide crisis hotline.
Right, the ultimate mask of compassion. He was literally talking people down from a ledge while planning the most horrific acts imaginable.
And that duality is the key to understanding him. He used his charm and perceived respectability as a weapon. His victims weren't dragged into alleys, they were lured into his car by a man in a fake cast asking for help.
He preyed on their kindness. It's a chilling reminder that the most dangerous predators are often the ones we'd least expect.
And for the police, this was a nightmare. In the 1970s, law enforcement agencies were not connected in the way they are today. You had a series of similar horrific crimes happening in Washington, then Utah, then Colorado, but the dots weren't being connected. They were looking for a local suspect, not a phantom moving across state lines.
So the lack of centralized data was a huge advantage for him. He could essentially start fresh in each new state, leaving a trail of terror that authorities couldn't piece together. It's a terrifying thought how many opportunities were missed because of jurisdictional boundaries.
And his escapes are the stuff of legend. He wasn't just a killer, he was an escape artist. The first time he jumped out of a courthouse law library window in Aspen, Colorado, he was on the loose for 6 days before being recaptured. It was a brazen, confident move that showed his utter contempt for the authorities. It also played right into his narrative of being smarter than everyone else.
And if the first escape was brazen, the second was something else entirely. It was meticulously planned. Over several months, he lost more than 30 pounds, allowing him to squeeze through a small hole he'd cut in the ceiling of his cell. He crawled through the ductwork, dropped into the apartment of a jailer who was out for the night, changed into the jailer's clothes, and just walked out the front door. It was months before he was seen again.
And during those months, he made his way to Florida, where he committed his most infamous and brutal attacks. On January 15, 1978, he broke into the Chi Omega sorority house at Florida State University. In the span of just 15 minutes, he viciously attacked 4 women, killing 2 of them, Margaret Bowman and Lisa Levy. The level of violence was shocking, even for Bundy.
And he wasn't finished. After leaving a trail of carnage at the sorority house, he abducted and murdered his youngest victim, Kimberly Leach. It was this final horrific act that led to his downfall. He was eventually arrested in Pensacola, driving a stolen car. It was a simple traffic stop, a mundane end to a reign of absolute terror.
His trial in Florida was a media circus, the first to be nationally televised, and Bundy, ever the narcissist, decided to represent himself. He turned the courtroom into a stage for his arrogance, cross-examining the very officers who caught him and the witnesses to his crimes. But his charm had finally run out. The prosecution had a key piece of forensic evidence, a bite mark on the body of Lisa Levy, which perfectly matched Bundy's dental impressions. It was physical proof that sealed his fate.
After he was sentenced to death, he spent years on death row appealing his case. But in the end, with his execution imminent, he began to confess. In a series of interviews, he admitted to more than 30 murders, though the true number will likely never be known. He provided gruesome details, helping to close cold cases that had haunted families for years. It was his final act of control.
On January 24, 1989, Ted Bundy was executed in the electric chair. A crowd gathered outside the prison, cheering. It was a cathartic moment for the nation, the end of a long and terrifying chapter. The monster was finally gone.
And in the end, it's not the myth of the charming, brilliant killer that should be remembered. It's the lives he cut short. The real story of Ted Bundy is not about him, but about the women he victimized. They are the ones who deserve to be remembered. We need to remember that the fascination with these figures can often overshadow the immense pain and suffering they caused.
Well said, Sarah. And if there's any positive legacy from this horrific case, it's in the evolution of law enforcement. The Bundy case was a brutal lesson in the need for communication and data sharing between different jurisdictions. It directly led to the development of the FBI's Violent Crime Apprehension Program, or VICOP, which helps track and link violent crimes across the country. We learned the hard way that monsters don't respect state lines.
That brings us to the end of another case. We know these stories are not easy to hear, and we want to thank you for sticking with us through this difficult but important discussion. Your support is what allows us to continue exploring these complex cases. We'll be back soon to delve into another mind of a monster, so please make sure you subscribe so you don't miss it.
Before we go, we must end with our most important message. While the psychology of these individuals is fascinating, it is crucial to remember that we are discussing real-life murderers, not fictional characters. There is no glory or honor in what they did. Our purpose is to learn from the darkness and to shine a light on the systemic failures that can allow such evil to thrive. The focus should always be on the victims and the lives that were stolen. It is their stories and their names that deserve to be remembered. Thank you for listening. Stay vigilant and stay safe.